Hey there, I'm Sara, and I'm coming at you with a shorty episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. And today we're going to talk all about empathy for yourself on your alcohol-free journey and learning how to practice self-compassion on your recovery journey. This episode is going to be a shorter one, but it's going to be packed with important information for you. To start us off, I just want to define self-compassion. The definition of self-compassion is treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding you'd offer a friend. So it's something we talk about often on our journey, that you need to talk to yourself the same way you would as a friend. But today I'm going to be giving you actionable tips so you can really get better at this, because it is a practice. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. I promise. If you're early on in your journey, you may be having a voice that's in the back of your head telling you things like, you're not going to be able to do this, or why should you get to have this journey? Those types of feelings are self-criticism. And today we're going to talk about how you can turn that around to self-compassion instead. Before we dive all the way into this topic, I want to remind you that you can still hop onto the waiting list for the Push to 100. This is going to be the last episode where you hear me say that you can hop onto the waiting list, so be sure to do it now. If you're on the waiting list, you're guaranteed a spot to early enrollment, which will open on December 16th, and those that choose to enroll at the early enrollment period will be offered an early enrollment discount. Along with that, I'm offering one-on-one sessions to the first 20 people that enroll. So getting on the waiting list is really important and can get you a lot of added benefits. Remember, the Push to 100 is going to start on January 1st, and I'm going to take you through your first 100 days of being alcohol-free. I'm going to make it so you're not alone on this journey, and you can get from that day 1 to day 100, and we will be celebrating on April 11th with a little Zoom party, and I can't wait for you to be there. So hop into the show notes, click on that link. Remember, you can do it while you're listening to this episode. And by the end of this episode, you've gained knowledge on self-compassion in your alcohol-free journey, and you're on the waiting list, so you're guaranteed that early enrollment. All right, let's dive into today's topic. So first, I just want you to understand self-compassion. I think that it's a term that's thrown around a lot, and we all think, oh, I've got that, or oh, I'm really bad at that, but we don't really know what it is. And there's actually 3 components of self-compassion, and these are outlined by Dr. Kristin Neff. Dr. Kristin Neff is a researcher and leading expert in the field of self-compassion, and she's developed a widely recognized framework for self-compassion, which includes 3 core components. So the 3 core components are: number 1, self-kindness versus self-judgment. I want you to start replacing harsh criticism with gentle encouragement. Treating yourself with patience and forgiveness paves the way for growth and healing. So when you start hearing that voice of judgment popping into your head, those thoughts of you can't do this isn't going to work for you, start replacing those as quickly as you can with thoughts like, I can do this. I am worthy of this alcohol-free journey. I know it won't feel natural at first, but believe me, if you start replacing those thoughts with those other sentences, sooner or later, those other sentences become your true thoughts. Number 2 of the 3 core components of self-compassion is common humanity versus isolation. This is where you recognize that struggles and mistakes are part of being human. Realizing that everyone faces challenges helps reduce feelings of loneliness and fosters a sense of connection. I know for myself, I can get really wrapped up in watching what other people are doing in a similar field to me and thinking, oh my gosh, they're doing such a better job. This comes so much more easily to them. But when I step back and realize they also have setbacks, they have days where they struggle, it just makes me remember that I'm not alone. And even in my early alcohol-free days, I would read other people's stories because it helped me remember that other people had gone before me. They had struggled just like I was struggling, and they made it through, and they were on the other side to success, so it could happen for me. The 3rd core component is mindfulness versus over-identification. I want you to start acknowledging your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. This one can be really tricky to do, but believe me, the more that you're thinking about this and putting it into practice, the easier it's going to start becoming. So I want you to observe your emotions with curiosity rather than judgment. When it happens, just start thinking, I wonder why I'm having this emotion. Why is this happening for me? Instead of going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe I'm overreacting like this. This always happens. Just start being curious. It's going to help you maintain an emotional balance and clarity on your journey. You can actually go listen to Dr. Kristin Neff's book called Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. And there's also a workbook that's the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook. This one is co-authored with Dr. Christopher Germer, and I'll be sure to link both of these in the show notes as well. So now you know the 3 core components of self-compassion, but I want you to start realizing that self-compassion can feel unnatural for many people. So if that's how you're feeling right now, it's totally normal. And especially if you're brand new to your alcohol-free journey, self-compassion can feel difficult because many people who've newly quit drinking carry deep feelings of guilt, shame, and self-judgment about their past actions and behaviors. I know for me, I would ruminate at times on stupid things I did when I was drunk, and I would just get overwhelmed by those things. And I had to learn to start talking to myself with kindness when I would have those thoughts and realizing that I wasn't alone in the journey. And again, this is another time when it's really important to lean into a community, a sober community. You can find that with AA. You can hop into the Daymakers. You can go onto sober Instagram, sober TikTok, and follow other sober content creators. But just surround yourself with other people on the journey, and it's actually going to make your self-compassion levels go up. It'll help you start moving away from the feelings that you don't deserve your alcohol-free journey to believing that you do deserve your alcohol-free journey and that it can work for you. So really lean into the community, and remember, if self-compassion is not coming easily to you, that's perfectly normal. Now we're going to talk about the benefits of self-compassion in your alcohol-free journey. First, it can build emotional resilience. Self-compassion is going to help you bounce back from setbacks and navigate challenging emotions. I know for myself, the more and more I practice this skill, the easier it is for me to bounce back when I'm just feeling low. And it's also helped me realize things like, hey, I'm having a low day, and that's absolutely okay. And tomorrow's going to be a different day, so I don't need to feel like I'm stuck in this. Just by practicing self-compassion, I'm having that emotional resilience where I just bounce back more quickly. This also helps provide you with a safe inner space to process fear and failure. And a lot of us just don't have that when we first start our journey. Because like I said in the beginning, for me, I was really ruminating on the dumb stuff I did when I was drunk, and I just couldn't believe I made those choices. But by practicing my self-compassion, I was able to start processing those moments. And as I processed them, they became lower and lower on things that I would think about. The next thing it does is it helps you break the shame cycle. I was so stuck in the shame cycle as a drinker. I would say I wasn't going to drink. Then I would choose to drink and I would break that promise. And then I would drink way too much. Then I would have a hangover. And then I would just be feeling terrible about myself. Because I was stuck in that shame cycle as a drinker, I brought it into my non-drinking life as well. And I had to learn how to break that shame cycle. And I had to start trusting myself that I was really going to do this on this journey. That it wasn't just a fluke that I was being alcohol free for a certain amount of time. I was really in it, and I was really going to stay committed to my success. So I had to shift the narrative from I'm bad, or I made a mistake, or I was so stupid in my drinking days, to things like I'm doing the best I can. Maybe I made a mistake before, but I know how to fix that mistake now, and really leaning into the fact that I deserve an alcohol-free life. And the last benefit of having self-compassion on your alcohol-free journey is that it's going to support your long-term recovery. When you're treating yourself kindly, it increases your ability to maintain motivation and persistence. Compassion encourages consistency and helps you recognize progress even when the path feels difficult. This is something that I see in myself because I celebrate every milestone as they come. Even as I've gotten farther along on my alcohol-free journey, I still take time out for me when I hit a new year milestone on my journey. Or maybe I hit a nice round number like 2,000 days. When those things happen for myself, I find a way to celebrate, even if it's small, because I know that this will support my long-term sobriety. I also know that it's a way to practice self-compassion, and it's gonna support my journey in the long run. I've given you a lot of information on self-compassion, and now let's talk about how you can actually start practicing self-compassion in your day-to-day life. I'm going to give you 5 different things that you can do. Please don't feel like you have to do all of them at once. Start thinking about what's the first one I can work on, which one seems the most interesting to me or the most easy to me. Pick that one, practice it, then come back to this episode and pick out another one and start practicing that. So number 1 is talk to yourself like a friend. Practice rephrasing negative self-talk into compassionate words. Now, I actually struggle the most with this when it comes to my body image, and it's something that I have really had to start working on, seeing my body as a strong body, realizing all the amazing things it's done for me instead of focusing on its flaws. But you can do the same thing in your alcohol-free journey and start seeing your successes like I was talking about. When you get through day one, celebrate. Even if it's giving yourself a pat on the back. I know that sounds really dumb, but doing that is a way to practice self-compassion. And it's what a friend would do for you. They would say, wow, I'm really proud of you. So say that to yourself. I'm really proud of you, self. Like, I know that sounds kind of woo-woo and out there, but really do this. It's going to help you so much. When you hear your inner voice talking to you and saying mean things, change that as fast as you can, and you will notice that you're going to start getting faster and faster at this practice. Number 2 is to start using self-compassion exercises, like writing a self-compassionate letter to yourself. You could write a letter to congratulate yourself when you hit a milestone like 30 days on your alcohol-free journey, or even practicing a loving kindness meditation. You can find meditations like this in any of the apps. So I use the Unplug app, and I will actually look up things like self-love meditations, especially when I'm feeling really down on myself about whatever it may be. And guess what? Those meditations are there. So if you're in an app, look those up. If you want to look on YouTube, go for that too. All right, number 3 is set realistic expectations. This one is kind of hard for me, especially when it comes to like my day-to-day to-do list or just setting goals for myself each year. I can really shoot for the moon and then I have to bring it back down. But when you set realistic expectations for yourself, you allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them without harsh judgment. So maybe you have a big goal to be alcohol-free for a year and you're having a hard time having liftoff. You keep starting your journey and then you experience failure. And then you go again and then you have a setback again. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get this. Instead, start realizing that mistakes happen and just start learning from them without judging yourself in a harsh way. Just start really going, okay, why did I decide to drink? What could I do differently next time? What could I replace the drink with next time? And then stick to that idea that you have, try it out. And if it works, awesome. You figured it out. And if it doesn't work, that's awesome too, because now you have another chance to learn more about yourself. So really just set those goals, but maybe have realistic expectations. I know that this last time I quit drinking, which has now gotten me to my point where I'm like 5.5 years alcohol free, I told myself, no, I'm not going to have any setbacks. I'm not going to have any moments where I go back to drinking. I'm really going to commit to this. But when I first started, I really went into it with a we'll see attitude. We'll see if this works. We'll see if we can make it to 30 days. And I think that because I was going into it with a more curiosity in the beginning, it really helped me. And then as I got past those 30 days, 60 days is when I really started having that attitude of like, I'm doing this and I'm not messing this up, because you get so many days added up and you don't want to go back to day 0. So set those realistic expectations in the beginning and then know that you can add on to them. Number 4, practice self-care rituals. Nourish your body, mind, and your soul with small intentional acts of kindness towards yourself. Take time to go get a massage. Take time to take yourself out to a delicious, yummy, healthy meal. Really do things that are self-care minded. Even take this as far as writing it down into your calendar when you're going to do these things, and maybe set them up with certain day marks along the way. Like when I hit 15 days of being alcohol free, I'm going to take myself out to the coffee shop that I really like and enjoy a dessert and a coffee. Just think of things you can do and know that they're just awesome self-care rituals for yourself. Even little things like every single day, I'm going to wash my face at night to take care of my skin. It's something that I didn't do when I was a drinker, so now I'm going to do it as a way to honor my body and take care of myself. All right, number 5 is reflect on the fact that imperfection is part of the human experience. This allows you to see that you're not alone on your journey. And when you start to see this, you won't isolate yourself, and instead you'll start reaching out to others for support. So really just remember, imperfection is just part of being a human. And when you realize that, if you have a setback, if you have a moment, if you're just having a lot of negative thoughts about yourself or negative thoughts about yourself when you were a drinker, you can just tell yourself, hey, imperfection is part of the human experience. And it just makes me a human being, and there's totally nothing wrong with that. Those are 5 practical ways you can start practicing self-compassion. Remember, I want you to just pick one of those and start practicing it regularly. When that one becomes easy, come back to this episode and pick out another one. I really hope that this shorty episode helps you out. I know that self-compassion can be something that's so hard to even understand in the beginning of your journey, but just remember it's a practice and you deserve the same kindness and understanding that you would give to someone you love. I always think to myself, would I say that to my kids? If I wouldn't say it to my kids, then I'm not going to say it to myself. And that one helps me so much. I'm having a blast doing these shorty episodes for you. So if you're enjoying them, be sure to write a review and let me know. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. It helps us so much as we grow the No More Wasted Days podcast. And remember, this is going to be the last time you hear me talking about getting onto the waiting list for the Push to 100. So be sure to go into the show notes and click that link so you are on the waiting list and you're guaranteed that spot in early enrollment. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be in your ear in the next episode.